This is Candor Talk. Thank you for tuning in. Let's get right into the show. But before we get into the show, don't forget to check out our website, sylviaexpress.com. Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Candor Talk. All right, let's just get right into it. This is going to be a feel-good show, okay? Because if you find Trump to be repulsive, fraudulent, unhinged, bigoted, unfit, and impeachable, you will love today's show. Trump is done. Even Trump has realized that he should have never run for president. Here's Trump.
What advice would you give to the 25-year-old Donald Trump knowing what you know today?
Don't run for president.
Yeah. Don't run for president. Not a good idea. He knows it. He understands it. First, let me just say something. Republicans actually believed, the Republican base, I should say, because I think the Republicans in Congress actually understood. But the Republicans in his base actually believed that he had convictions. One of the numerous problems with Trump is that he doesn't actually believe in anything. He has no core convictions when it comes to policy, except for maybe do nothing and exploit as much as you can. Furthermore, Trump does not know his own limitations. He has no concept of boundaries or limits. He just doesn't. He went too far this time, and his presidency is essentially irredeemable at this point. He made a catastrophic mistake signing that omnibus bill. I mean, I wasn't happy about the omnibus bill either, because I was just like, nobody's read it. You guys are going to add $1.3 trillion to the deficit, and nobody has read the bill. But then I saw what was going on with his base, and I said, you know what? This might have been the best thing that happened to the country after all. But anyway, him signing that omnibus bill, it not only betrayed his campaign promises to his quote-unquote base, it also caused his base to actually want his impeachment. Literally, go to sylviaexpress.com on Monday. You will see the Trump regrets. You will not believe how many of them are calling for his impeachment. But in this show, I'm going to let you hear from literally Trump sycophants who have now turned against him. Because the thing is, like I said, he betrayed all his campaign promises. Every single one in that omnibus bill. And even if some of those base members, some of those sycophants forgive him, he doesn't have the numbers anymore to withstand this presidency. He just doesn't. Here is the Wicked Witch of the West, Ann-Coulter, on Trump and what he just did by signing that omnibus bill. Here it is.
But Ann, wait a minute. Let's go through this thing here. I've been looking at your tweets. I think you called him President Schumer. You talked about all of a sudden you're going to join Mueller's team. It can't be that bad.
I can't imagine how it could be any worse. There's zero funding for the wall, and in fact, he is prevented from putting up even one little inch of one of those prototypes. No, all he can do is build a little pedestrian fence. Nothing that he has been looking at. None of the prototypes. Billion for a tunnel in his state. But for the country, for the central promise that put Donald Trump in the White House, he only gets $1.6 billion and very strict restrictions on what it can be used on. He can repaint some fences. There's a fence down by the San Diego border, and they're allowed to repaint that.
I really don't understand.
Is there anyone opposing Trump's impeachment anymore? No, there are a few Cro-Magnons. Oh, yeah, we saw him on The Apprentice. He's playing 3D chess.
You don't buy the 3D chess. You don't buy there's something bigger in this.
On that, Mr. President. Luckily for him, the Senate math, perhaps unluckily for the country, I don't think it really makes a difference one way or another. Anyone vote Republican.
Well, so they lose.
Anyone vote Republican? And please let me remind you that I am the one who is always going on Fox News and haranguing these purist Republicans saying, please, 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 no matter how much you hate your Republican, just this one last time, vote Republican. We need a Republican Senate. We need a Republican House. There's no point, Tom.
Well, what if so they lose, right? They lose the House, okay, and they don't lose the Senate.
And he's impeached the next day.
Okay, so he's impeached.
Actually, they'll drag it out for fun because they all want to go on MSNBC. It'll probably take like a month of hearings. It'll be nonsense.
Yeah, and then he gets impeached.
They have a majority. They're impeaching him.
Right.
There is no hope. He will still have those voters. He won by the skin of his teeth by making promises no Republican would ever make before. He has betrayed every single one of them. And now he's hired John Bolton, so soon we'll be going to war with North Korea, Russia, Iran, and Syria. Who was the guy who called Iraq a huge mistake, and now he's hired one of the principal architects of Iraq to advise him? Oh, good grief, there is no hope any place in sight. You're yourself with these little fairy tales, but the facts are Connor Lamb did not run as a Trump Republican. He ran against Trump's tax cuts, and he won in a district Trump carried by 20 points. Nobody whom Trump brought out to vote for him who haven't voted in 30 years, they don't care about tax cuts because they're not paying taxes. They want a job, and they have been betrayed over and over and over again. And when the Republicans get wiped in the House, I'm going to laugh and laugh and laugh.
Okay, there was so much more that she had said, so I had to condense it because she went on a rant for like 20 minutes. But did you hear her say impeachment? I did. Yeah, she said impeachment. And then, because this is the problem that he made an astronomical mistake because he still presumed that he could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and not lose any voters. Well, he didn't even have to commit murder to lose voters. They are fleeing. Even Rush Limbaugh, who is, I will talk about this after, he's a very cautious person, but even Rush Limbaugh went off. And I have to play, it's over 4 minutes. You can fast forward if this is just too much for you, but I have to play this. I condensed it because he went on for like over an hour about how upset he was. But I had to condense this because you have to understand how bad things are for Trump. Here's Rush Limbaugh.
I don't like the way I'm feeling right now. But what just happened here is way, way beyond that. The Donald Trump agenda just got gutted, folks. But I just have a really bad feeling about it because I cannot tell you what this. And I don't want to dispirit or depress any of you. That's why I'm really holding back here. But this is the biggest. This is a nuclear win for the swamp over Donald Trump. To enhance the border security of nations adjacent to conflict areas, including Jordan, Lebanon, Egypt, and Tunisia. In other words, we are in the omnibus going to spend on border security for nations in the Middle East, but not ourselves. Rallies today. I didn't see it. So that tells me that he knows. He is fully aware. He's not, and he didn't get talked out of anything. I keep, some people have said, some people got to him and told him. Well, they may have gotten to him, but they didn't talk him out of it. He did this because he wanted to do it. Or felt he had to do it, whatever. He doesn't get tricked. Not now. Maybe in the first couple of months when they were trying to run rings around him on Obamacare's replace and repeal, but not now. Not now. And there's a reason why that he did this despite knowing the pitfalls of it. And that he tried to tell us today that the reason is the military. That it was too important that he had to shelve everything else in order to get this degree of military spending. Yeah, I know I predicted that. Well, that's because I know. But this is the biggest. This is a nuclear win for the swamp over Donald Trump. I cannot tell you how big this is. It say that within 5 minutes of this press conference ending today, this signing ceremony ending, that CNN went back to the porn show. They went back to Stormy-Daniels and the Make America Horny Again tour and the McDougal Babe. Within 5 minutes after this was over. It's like Zucker called it, don't gloat. Whatever you do, don't gloat. Let's get back to the porn. But what just happened here is way, way beyond that. The Donald Trump agenda just got gutted, folks. Outside of strong military, the Donald Trump immigration agenda just got gutted. Now, there are going to be a lot of people who will say, I understand how Trump had to give up the rest of his agenda to get it. And when I heard him say he's very disappointed and it's never was stripped out, stripped away. I don't know what that Homeland Security director was talking about with her increase in the budget and the wall, because that's not what I read. That's not what I saw. Let me review. And Trump says he's irritated by it. He's never going to go for anything like this again. And he warned them. He warned those them. I'm not going to ever do anything like this again. Well, I don't know. He may actually be right in a way we don't want to contemplate. The request for added space to detain illegal aliens.
Okay, first of all, Rush. The thing that was so funny about Rush is that Rush was like actually mimicking and making fun of Donald Trump. I'm never going to do that again. I'm never going to do that again. But the thing about Rush is that Rush is actually so cautious too. He feeds off of his audience. And you can tell he wants to rip Trump's head off. But he's trying to be as calm as he can. But he can't even contain himself. He also subtly brought up impeachment at the end. When he was talking about Trump, said he would never do it again. He's like, yeah, he might not be able to. For reasons we probably don't want to contemplate. Which is, he's going to be impeached. Okay. And then Fox News. Okay. Fox News. Okay, let me say it again. Let me just say, I said Fox News. I meant to say Trump News. Trump News is enraged about him signing the omnibus bill. Here is Fox News.
Well, I know one thing. Mexico's not going to pay for the wall, and neither are we, because it says there's going to be only $1.6 billion for the wall, and you can't even use the new concrete wall prototypes that he just surveyed. And it's only supposed to be for 93 miles. The border's 3,000 miles. And the only fencing that's going to be done is backup fencing and repairs. This was a huge defeat for the president on a signature issue. It's really, really bad. There's no way to spin it. I know he wanted more money for the military, and that's incredibly important, but he sacrificed everything else to get it. And I hate to do this. I hate to quote Rand Paul, but Rand Paul said something really...
Do you hate it, though?
Well, I mean, only for this instance. He said there's an unholy alliance between Republicans and Democrats in Congress. The Republicans want to spend like crazy on the military, and the Democrats say, okay, we'll give you the military spending if we can spend whatever we want on domestic spending, and they get together and they just run deficits. But the border is a mess, and Chuck Schumer gets all the money he wants for a tunnel from New Jersey to New York, and there's no border wall funding. I saw some of this other pork. I mean, Planned Parenthood, $500 million. The John F. Kennedy Center's getting $40 million. Stuff that is, they wanted to cut the budget for the EPA. The EPA budget's at a historic high. It's really insulting, and he says it's never going to happen again. I don't see how he's going to change the dynamic in Congress to have this never happen again. Democrats are never going to vote for border wall funding. And the Republicans aren't going to go to the mattresses for it. He should just have his rich billionaire friends pony up. Maybe they can privatize it.
Okay, that was Fox News, okay? So this is the thing. Thinking that you can go too far is the problem with Trump. And then there's another one, and I have to play this one because he is actually pretty funny, too, as well. But his name is Michael Savage, and he was somebody who was instrumental in helping Trump get elected. He's like a huge talk radio guy on the right, huge right-wing talk radio guy. And he literally lost it over what Trump just did. So here's Michael Savage.
Fourth year in radio, which is actually tomorrow, March 24th. But after what I saw happened, when I saw the man that I helped elect, and I probably had more to do with it than most, if not all, in the media. I was with him from the beginning. What he did today with this budget, I can't say it broke my heart because it's not on that level. It may have broken my will to even stay in talk radio. What the hell is the point of doing this anymore if after all these years we turned the ship around only to see the other side take control of the helm? What's the point of ever voting again? And I'm going to ask you today, I'll make it very simple. Will you vote for Trump again? But before Trump runs again, I woke up like I feel like I'm in Brobdingdang. It's like, who's in the White House? Who's actually sitting there? Who's running the country? This is the same administration that just put a warmonger into the National Security Advisor position. the walrus, the mustache job. A man who gave us the Iraq War. John Bolton, the Bush-era war hawk, who lied about weapons of mass destruction, is now the national security advisor. How could this be? Trump ran on many campaign promises, one of which will not get involved in foreign wars. Do you remember that? Do you remember I could have been any worse under Hillary? I will allege that had Hillary won and Congress proposed such a grotesquely obscene budget, it would not have passed Congress. The Republicans would have brayed like mules. So now we've gone from the art of the deal to the art of the squeal in just a few days. What happened to his great negotiating skills? Where'd they go? Where'd they go? I don't understand. He could have gotten up and yelled and screamed, and he could have put someone down, threatened them to a fist fight, called them little, small, nobodies. Why is he so complicit in this screwing of the American people? You don't understand it. You're paying for this. Do you get it? You understand that you want...
Okay, I thought the part when he said, now we've gone from the art of the deal to the art of the squeal. I almost passed out when I heard that part. But the thing is, that's Michael Savage, and he's like really, really big in the right-wing media. And he went off. And you should, look, I'm telling you guys, they went off for so long. I had to condense it. It's like hours of them going off. Okay, so, and then their bases were calling in saying that he's a traitor. He's going to get impeached. And then you have to go look I'm telling you, go to SylviaExpress.com on Monday, and you have to look at these tweets. And they're saying he's going to get impeached. You're on your own now, Trump. You're by yourself. Nobody's going to help you after this. Good luck to you. I wish you well, because I'm not going to help you. I'll never vote for you again. You're going to get impeached. You will see it when you go to SylviaExpress.com on Monday. Because this is the thing. And here is my theory on everything that's transpiring. Trump was set up by both parties. And like I told you guys before, I wouldn't be doing this show if I didn't have a different theory. So he was set up by both parties. They want him gone. Just think about it. Why would Republicans sign a bill that gives Democrats virtually everything they ask for except DACA? Deny Trump the right to build the border wall. He can only fix the fences. They funded Planned Parenthood. They funded border walls in other countries. And even put some gun restrictions in that bill. If their goal was to bolster Trump, how in the world does this bill help Trump? They drafted a 2,200 plus page bill that everyone, including an infant, knew Trump would never read. They give it to everyone the night before. It's impossible to read that kind of a bill in 24 hours. It's impossible, even if you stayed up the entire 24 hours. Then they told Trump he's getting $1.8 billion for his wall, knowing that was bullshit. That the wall actually, they're forbidden from building the wall. Forbidden, as you heard the people talking about in the previous clips. Okay? So the thing is, and then after they do that, they go on recess and they get him to sign the bill. They knew their base would revolt. And the reason why they knew was because every day before that bill was about to be signed, Fox News and right-wing media, they were demanding that Trump veto that bill. You had the Freedom Caucus demanding that he veto that bill. There's no way that he did not know how catastrophic it was. His base was writing him consistently, do not sign that bill. And the thing is, he did it anyway. Because he argued that he needed the border wall money, which he did not get, and money for the military, which, congratulations, who are we going to war with? But anyway, but truly, what happened was he didn't want to be stuck in Washington because of a shutdown. That means that he can't golf on our dime or waste taxpayers' money for his extravagances. That's just the truth. You think he would skip golfing to act like a president? No way. That's not on it. That wasn't part of the responsibility, remember? He wasn't supposed to act like a president. He's just supposed to go in there and loot the country with the rest of his criminal friends and criminal family. But anyway, I believe that he was set up. They gave him the worst bill he could sign, boxed him in, got him to sign it, then left him to deal with the fallout. They all went on recess. Bye, we're gone. I believe that they've made essentially a suicide pact. That's what I believe. Like, they've agreed that they are willing to lose the House to ensure Trump gets impeached. Their base is so demoralized, especially after that omnibus bill and all these betrayals. You know, that $1.3 trillion budget catastrophe that no one read. Their base is so demoralized. Democrats are fired up. That's apparent from the numerous elections that we've seen. I mean, the Democratic base is fired up. They saw the writing on the wall. Republicans saw it. They knew it. And then after Tillerson, you fire Tillerson on Twitter, showing that you have absolutely no loyalty. You're the most disloyal person the country, the world has ever seen. And then you congratulate Putin, a dictator, for a fake and phony election win. And then all these Mueller indictments. And then you try to go and fire Mueller. They had it. They gave him the worst deal in U.S. history, and he signed it without reading it, which they know he's not going to read it. I mean, 2,200 pages. Is Trump even going to read the first page? Does he even know what the name of the bill is? I mean, they knew he would never do it. And they know that the only way that they can survive is by getting rid of Trump. But they can't just get rid of him if he still has that unhinged base. All he has to do is peel at least 10% of that base, and GOP will never win another election. And they know that. The math. They know how to calculate. They realize that they can't afford to lose that side of the base. So what did they do? They did permanent damage to him to deliberately damage him with his base. Otherwise, to look at it any other way, they would have to be politically incompetent to support a bill like this that they knew would enrage their base and which they knew would lead to catastrophic consequences in the midterms. They don't want to be responsible for Trump's impeachment. But they have realized that they're going to have to give up some seats, let the Democrats win because the writing's on the wall anyway. A tsunami is coming. So Democrats are going to win the House anyway. So they're going to pass the buck on to the Democrats to impeach him. But to make it more digestible to his base, you have to make them hate him. And that's what they did. And this isn't even a coincidence, okay? The GOP was showing signs that they were fed up after his criticism of Mueller and congratulating Putin. They just were. Then the Stormy-Daniels situation, which is a scandal. And then there's another Playboy bunny that you had another scandal with. And we're talking about illegality here. The show's going to go over a little bit longer because there's so much to cover and I had to play those clips. So just in case, and there's some other things I want to talk about after I go to break. But nevertheless, Republicans, I'm not going to break right now, but when I do go to break. But anyway, Republicans were already turning on him because the Stormy-Daniels situation is catastrophic. And the reason why that situation is catastrophic is not because of the salacious details, like I've said before. I mean, even though those details are pretty juicy, but nevertheless, her lawyer now is saying basically they have evidence to prove what they're saying. And video evidence. And this is the problem. What they did with that payoff was illegal. The same thing with the other one, I think her name is McDougal, who did an interview with Anderson Cooper. And there was some really salacious stuff going on in that interview. That was a real affair, nevertheless. But that's irrelevant. Really, the part that matters to me is the fact that what they did, these payoffs, were criminal. Okay? So Republicans are seeing that. Then, like I said, the Tillerson firing. And then you have the tariffs. And then a trade war. And then you start tanking the stock market. It's just simply too much impropriety for them to continue supporting him. And they realize that the writing's on the wall. However, to be clear, they were perfectly spineless up until that point. And I also believe that Mike Pence was a part of it because he encouraged Trump to sign that omnibus-bill. And when you see Mike Pence, you see all the fallacious passivity, constant feigned adulation. That was all deliberate. He never wanted to look like he was gunning for Trump's job, but he has been the entire time. That was the plan. However, a fiscal conservative as extreme as Mike Pence knew that omnibus bill would be disastrous for the base, but he told Trump to sign it irregardless, right? And the thing is, like I said, they were already at their tipping point. The bill was deliberate to minimize his power so they could make him ripe for impeachment. And even his base, or shall I say former base, they know it. They even said, you got set up, and you didn't even know that you got set up. Are you too stupid to not realize that you were getting set up? But no, he was too busy going out and making sure that he could figure out a way to get rid of Robert Mueller, and he didn't have time to worry about what was going on, and he wanted to go golfing, so he decided to go golfing. But the thing is, Republicans had already started turning on Trump. Here is what they were saying about him when he was saying that he wanted to fire Mueller. They had already had enough. Here's the clip.
Give Bob Mueller the time, the independence, and the resources to do his job. If the allegation is collusion with the Russians, and there is no evidence of that, and you're innocent of that, act like it.
Director Mueller is a man of integrity. He should be allowed to do his work uninterrupted and unimpeded. It would be a terrible mistake for the president to fire him.
Oh, it'd be a disaster. The president would be very well advised to quit tweeting
About Mueller
is as straight and narrow as you can shoot. I think he should just be left to do his investigation.
It would be the stupidest thing the president could do is fire him.
And I believe he's going to conduct a full and fair and thorough investigation.
We have confidence in Mueller. I certainly do, and I think my colleagues do as well.
Mueller, he is highly regarded by Republicans and Democrats.
I think he needs to leave Mueller alone.
The investigation needs to go forward without political interference. We know that if he tried to, it'd be the end of his presidency. We're a rule of law nation before President Trump. We're going to be a rule of law nation after President Trump.
Okay, those were Republicans, and this was before the omnibus-bill catastrophe. And the thing is, for the record, Trump cannot unequivocally, indisputably fire Mueller personally. He either has to fire Rod-Rosenstein and appoint a new deputy attorney general who can disband the Mueller investigation, or he has to fire Jeff Sessions and appoint a new attorney general who will not have to recuse themselves like Jeff Sessions does. That's the only way he's going to be able to get rid of Mueller. However, he cannot fire Mueller personally. Mueller can only be fired by Rosenstein at this point because Sessions recused himself. The layers of complication in a maneuver like that are so vast. He also doesn't have his base anymore. They don't care if he gets impeached. Wait, go read SylviaExpress.com on Monday. They don't care. So doing that would only be because he felt that it was better than the consequences, basically, of allowing Mueller to continue. And if he'd risk the possibility of impeachment just to stop Mueller, that means he's forfeited his presidency anyway. And also, Republicans have to abandon him before 2018 because their alleged prosperous economy is showing holes. The truth is they inherited an Obama economy and couldn't maintain it like a typical Republican. They were trying to ride a wave despite the chaos, but Trump keeps taking their perceived progress to the ground. Then they see the stock market crashing. Even Fox News talked about the stock market crashing. Right? And then his lawyer, John-Dowd, he decides to resign. He ran. Boom! I'm gone. I don't want anything else to do with this. Then another lawyer who had joined the case, suddenly, abruptly, he just joined the case, said, you know what, I just don't think I'm the one for this job. Maybe somebody else would be better for me. Yeah, right. You ran. You don't want to represent the President of the United States? Literally, you don't want to represent the President of the United States. That is not true. Any lawyer who had the opportunity to represent the President of the United States would take that opportunity, except representing the imposter in the White House. Nobody wants to represent the imposter in the White House. And then in the midst of all that chaos, Trump tried to distract us by firing so many people or resigning so many people. There literally is no one left in the country to work for him. Literally, there's 2 people left in the country now that can work for Trump. Okay? And then because everything's just crashing around him, he's itching for war. That's why he appoints this John Bolton. Because wartime presidents, they receive more sympathy from the public. He also believes that it will help change the public perception and avoid impeachment and possible removal. So we hear all of a sudden that McMaster is resigning, and here comes John Bolton in his place. And John Bolton is a monster. And you heard that from even his own base. Well, I don't know what to call him anymore because they hate him. But you heard that from Ann-Coulter and Michael Savage and from Rush-Limbaugh. You heard what they said. They're so angry about this. And see, here's the problem for Trump. He doesn't have the public support for war. And further, he doesn't have the support from his very anemic base. He brought in Bolton, who is a war hawk, and literally partially responsible for the Iraq war. Something that Trump said that was a huge mistake, and that the United States had failed, etc. You bring in somebody that's actually partially responsible for that war, who lied about weapons of mass destruction. Why? Because he wants to go to war. But the thing is, he goes to war, he's done. His con has run out. He goes to war, his former base, they will riot against him. We won't even need to do anything. They'll do it. And they've blasted him for that many times about this John Bolton thing. So the thing is, he's run out of options. The writing is on the wall. They're hinting at or explicitly discussing impeaching this guy. Like I said, go to SylviaExpress.com on Monday. The regrets, I'm telling you guys, they're astonishing. They're endless. I mean, and I couldn't even I'm telling you, I always say that, but there's always a lot of Trump regrets. But this is like nothing I have never seen this many Trump regrets ever. Ever. I don't care what he's done. I have never seen this many Trump regrets. It is out of control. Go to SylviaExpress.com on Monday. And then, let me just say something. This is a new phenomenon, what's happening, this backlash. The backlash is fierce. His presidency is untenable for him. Nothing is going good for this man. I mean, nothing. I'm going to take a break. I'll be right back. What's up, guys? Thank you for staying with me. All right, so look, there was so much that went on this week. I just can't talk about all of it. I don't have the time to go through all that stuff and try to get the clips and stuff to substantiate the things that I'm trying to say here. So, but this segment, I always said that I was going to dedicate it to something that I thought was like a social justice issue, and always at least bring up a social justice issue. And of course, the greatest thing that happened today was the March for Our Lives thing. This is the biggest thing I've ever seen kids ever do. I'm so inspired by these kids. But there was one little girl, and I'm going to play a short clip of what she said. Her name was Naomi Wadler. She was 11 years old. She's a black girl, little girl, who spoke at this thing. I'm going to tell you, there were hundreds of thousands of people there. It was magnificent. It was just so moving. I literally cried so many times, different times today. I wasn't crying because I was sad when thinking about the lives that had been lost, but I was so happy and proud of these kids. I can't explain. It was like, it was just a feeling of just satisfaction. I felt like progress is happening. And then I'm telling you, what's happening with Trump is just making me so excited. But nevertheless, I'm going to play this video from Naomi Wadler before I try to close out this show in a few minutes. All right, here she is.
Me and my friend Carter led a walkout at our elementary school on the 14th. We walked out for 18 minutes, adding a minute to honor Cortland Arrington, an African-American girl who was the victim of gun violence in her school in Alabama after the Parkland shooting. I am here today to represent Cortland Arrington. I am here today to represent Hadia Pendleton. I am here today to represent Tiana Thompson, who at just 16 was shot dead in her home here in Washington, D.C. I am here today to acknowledge and represent the African-American girls whose stories don't make the front page of every national newspaper. Whose stories don't lead on the evening news. I represent the African-American women who are victims of gun violence, who are simply statistics instead of vibrant, beautiful girls that full of potential.
As a black woman, if that was my daughter, oh, Lord knows, I would just cradle her every night. Like, oh, I love my son to death. Don't get me wrong. I love my son. But then there was also Emma Gonzalez, and I don't know if you guys have seen her. She's one of the Parkland students, one of the people who's been instrumental in putting together this activism by them. These youth they're so inspirational, but you have to go listen to what she said, and I just don't have enough time to play it. She literally stood there for over 6 minutes in silence for the amount of time that it took for the shooter to basically kill all those people. She sat there in silence and had hundreds of thousands of people sitting there in silence with her as well. These kids, I am telling you guys, something is happening in this country that I have never seen. The activism in this country, Trump has also sparked a generation of people who have said enough is enough. Literally. Things are good, and that's why I said this is going to be a feel-good show. There's no bad news in this show, ladies and gentlemen. This is all good news right now. We are literally living in a country where our children, the next generation, are literally showing us that they are phenomenal leaders. Just kids. That little girl that spoke, she was 11 years old. That's our future. So things are bright, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to take a break. I'll be right back. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that does it for me for tonight. Thank you so much for staying with me this entire time. I went over today because there were so many things I wanted to get through. And I'm telling you, there's so many more things I want to talk about, hopefully in another show. But let me just say a few things. Trump is done. So you should have a very good weekend. When his own sycophants are saying the words impeachment over and over and over again, like I said, go to SylviaExpress.com on Monday. You will not believe what his base are saying. I'm talking about the people who went out there and voted for him, not just talk radio. When you start seeing that kind of stuff, then you will recognize, I am telling you, when you start hearing them say impeachment, 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 that's not a sign of good times for Trump. Things are bad for this guy. So anyway, guys, have a great weekend. I will see you guys next week. Take care.